you are not classed among the poor. See, that's why some of you getting financial breakthroughs. That's why some of you seeing miracles. That's why the word of the Lord came, amen, to tell you to pour the oil to break the slave wage, amen. When you use the oil, you will not be classed among the poor. This woman, though pouring the oil, that which was precious to her, she was not linked with the poor. You may have been poor when you started out, but you won't end there. The widow woman at Zarephath, amen, she was poor when she started out, when she met Elijah, but she ended up feeding him for some years. You may be poor when you started in these doors, but I want you to know that if you take heed to the word of the Lord and follow the prescription that God has given you, you will not be classed among the poor. Touch your neighbor and say, I'm going to begin to pour. The next thing we noticed in verse 9, that Jesus begins to say that wheresoever this gospel shall be preached throughout the world, I'm going to talk about this woman. Jesus prophesied that the story concerning this woman pouring the oil will be told wherever the gospel's preached. Because she poured the oil, she got a worldwide ministry. Now, it's going to be hard to explain this. I'm preaching this by revelation. Some of you that are pouring, God's getting you ready for international. See, I read only 5 hands went up. So you got to reach out in your spirit and grab it. You're looking for a little local setup, and God's trying to set you up for international. He's taking you beyond the borders, amen. He's taking you up beyond your ghetto. He's taking you beyond the city. He's taking you beyond the state. He's taking you beyond the nation. He wants to move you out beyond your boundaries. Touch your neighbor, amen. Elbow them and say, God's setting you up for big times. My God. She ended up with an international ministry. All because she was willing to pour, amen. He took her beyond her boundaries. You're being set up to go beyond your boundaries. You're being set up to go beyond the norm. You're being set up to go beyond culture. You're being set up to go beyond community. Wherever this gospel is preached, I'm going to cause your story to show up. All because she showed up and poured that which was precious. Givers get into the international market. When you are a giver, the harvest is too big. Your own community can't handle it. So God's got to take you international. The harvest that God has laid up for me, I'm going to give myself to the point where America would not be afford to fit the bill for the harvest. See, y'all can't get this. Abraham was so wealthy that the land could not hold him. See, when you are a giver and end up in covenant with God, your local community won't be able to stand you. They'll love you, but they can't hold you. Touch your neighbor and say, I'm going to a whole new level. Come on, touch her. Touch your other neighbor and tell them like you mean it. Say, I'm going to a whole new level. Oh, Jesus. I'm closing. The folks that murmured was the individual that was trying to keep this woman under control. The people that will be murmuring against you, it's a signal that they can no longer control you. See, these individuals didn't end up with an international ministry. Most of these individuals, you didn't even know what their names were. But they murmured against her because she moved beyond their control. An old move of God will fight any men or women that begin to move in finances. When people begin to talk concerning this church and finances, offerings, what kind of automobiles we drive, what we are wearing, that will tell you what kind of wine bottle they're drinking from. That tells you the year the bottle was broken. Man said, well, you know, I don't know about that church, and I heard at your church, I heard that they be giving a whole lot of money. I said, oh, okay, we know where you're from. You're an old move. Is it true that your bishop drives a Rolls Royce? What was there a problem? Yeah, we know what bottle you drunk from. You're an old move. An old move of God fights against any move of God that is moving in financial empowerment.